Saying, yeah. Hey. Tell me why you're crying, how can it be you? When you gave me something I don't really feel, but you knew that already. When I found you on the ground, you were dying. Now you come into my yard uninvited. Can't you see me on the edge? I'm enlightened. If the world was ending, would you cry or would you try to get me? Tell me now about what you do me clear, yeah. Tell me now, I need you to be clear, yeah. I will wait for you, for you. I will wait for you. I will wait for you. Got me. Can you put the time on a rewind, yeah? Help me understand, can you tell me now why you made a war that we're fighting now? And you fall and you run when you see my big guns. Run around, run away as a rebel comes out. Then you call on me. When you call me, I come. But then you go again with your deaf ears. Open your mind to the sound of the trumpet. What do you want from a life of the hopeless? Now yeah, you are, you're begging and crying. I want to fly, yeah, I'm flying to morning. Running away to the land of discovery. Running away from the suffering, I'm gone, yeah. Running away from the darkness, I'm out, yeah. Higher than all the limits, going way beyond the noise and your feelings. When you speak, all I can hear is silence. Turn it back from all the pain and violence. Big tunes, now it's big tunes, I'm killing. Cry now from the side, now call my name. Fall down when you see me, you know that I was there for you. I will wait for you, for you. I will wait for you. I will wait for you.
I said, girl, why you keep calling? I said, girl, why you keep calling? Yeah. She said, I need a new whip. Yeah, cause I know that you're still ballin'. She just wanna go back to the future, so I brought that girl a DeLorean. 21 minutes until I gotta go, so I told that girl I'm gonna slaughter it. I met that girl right up at my show. Left her man in the crowd on the floor. Out of town, never saw her before. Told her, baby, we don't got that long. Listen, this not my city show, but I treat it like my city show. 20 more minutes into I'm on. 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 Yeah, I am not slow. Nigga, you want me cause I got the dope. That's that girl right on my friend, give it go. He passed me her friend, so they switching roles. Yeah, I hit it fast. Yeah, I hit it slow. But by the morning, girl, I gotta go. Gotta get ready, tonight is my show. If you okay, you might help in my show. Got them big partners right under my nose. These niggas mad cause I got all the dough. These niggas mad cause I got all the dough. Changing my stock cause I got every flow. Got every girl, ain't no top in my hose. I understand that it's your...
It's off the tracks. It's Jet. It's Rave. We're back. Pretty bad night tonight here. Pacers 100. Pacers up 20 points at one point in this game, and absolutely blew it. I mean, just a complete, total, inexcusable collapse from top to the bottom tonight.
Can you try? Hold on, sorry. Can you try to plug like the mic in or something, or like adjust it? It's like robot-y.
How's this? Better?
Yeah, it's a little better.
How's this?
Perfect.
All right. Yeah. Um, I, I mean, just watching this game, watching Cat score 20 in the fourth, it was pretty clear who wanted to win this game more because I'm sitting there and I'm watching this game and I'm just waiting. And go get a bucket. Where was Pascal Siakam in the fourth? Where was Miles Turner? Where was Andrew Nembhard? And most importantly, where was Tyrese Halliburton tonight? 2 of 8 from 3. He's 5 of 18 in the last 2 games from beyond the arc. The Pacers as a team went 5 of 25 from deep, and still, when Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson were in foul trouble, both of those guys in foul trouble, they're still trying to take step back threes and not attacking downhill. And then lo and behold, Karl-Anthony Towns scores 20 in the fourth and single-handedly beats you when you could have gotten him out of this game very early on. This was just absolutely a disgrace. You had a chance to go up 3-0 with another home game, and you absolutely blew it. And now instead of being up 3-0 and the series practically being over and us sitting here talking about the Pacers probably preparing for the NBA Finals, now it's a dogfight. Now you got to go and win another road game. And just the series completely and totally changed tonight because the Pacers couldn't close out a 20-point lead at home in front of a pretty loud crowd. Rafe, welcome in. I mean,
I know it's different for you because you're a fan, and this is what the playoffs is. It's roller coasters. It's a big swing with the win. It's a big swing with the loss. I mean, I'm sure when you wake up tomorrow, the same way I kind of was with the Thunder today, like you realize you're still in a good spot. Now, you can't say you have to say that this is a game the Pacers should have won, up 20 at home. That's a game you have to close out and you have to win that one. However, you still have another home game. You win that, you're up 3-1. You're still in a pretty dang good spot. We'll get to that later. But for now, I thought the Pacers did. I mean, obviously they did a great job in the first half. They didn't let the Knicks, get that first huge punch in that you're kind of expecting them to throw down 0-2 in the series. They kind of kept them at bay a little bit. Obviously, then they start to spread out that lead. But yeah, big fall apart for the Pacers. Not something that you want to see.
It would be different if the Pacers came out tonight and, there's a back and forth game that maybe they just missed a shot or two there late and you're sitting here and you're thinking, oh, well, that game, could win either way. But they were literally up 20. They had this game won. They were up 15 at one point. They were up 10 going into the fourth. They got outscored by 16 points in the fourth quarter. They got outscored by 16 points in the fourth quarter. It's just completely unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. Maybe I wake up, but to God, I wake up tomorrow and I'm still feeling okay about this series, because after game 3 against Cleveland, I was feeling pretty down, but I had a good reason to feel down there. The Pacers just absolutely got killed in that game. Whereas tonight, I mean, just unbelievable. No one showed up tonight. I mean, it was a great first half. McConnell played great. Again, he was left in way too long tonight. Into the fourth quarter. As they're going on a run, put Halliburton in probably with 10 minutes to go there in that fourth quarter, but at that point, Knicks had already had control of the game. I would be curious to see how many points the Pacers scored there in that last 10 minutes. I think it probably was 10 points. They couldn't get anything going on offense. Again, that comes down to no one stepping up on a basketball team and saying, hey, I'm going to go score. Miles Turner had a pretty good wide open shot there to give the Pacers a lead there late. Missed it. And that was just kind of was the story of the night. 5 of 25. I mean, I just keep looking at that. 5 of 25 from 3-point land tonight. It's just unbelievable. But you kind of made a point at the beginning before we went live. It's going to be tough to see them shoot like that again. But just it's so hard for me to be positive about that and say, what, a good shooting game is coming. It's tough for me to look at that in a positive way because the Pacers had this game won.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for, any Pacers fan to kind of look at this after that game. I think I'll try to play, I'll try to keep everybody, any Pacer fans watching, their spirits up here. One being, kind of what we talked about before going live here is I think these shooting numbers it always happens. Now, the question will be, does it happen, soon enough? But at some point, these shooting numbers get back to water finds its level. They'll get back to baseline where it's supposed to be. Usually it happens within the next couple of games, and I would expect that to happen. Look, you're still up 2-1. You have another game at home. Any concern about them going on the road and winning, I don't think is there or should be there because they've proven it throughout these playoffs, especially in this series, winning the first 2 in New York. They're not afraid to go into New York and win. But, I mean, you're just going to keep going back to it's the game you should have won. And in the playoffs, it's hard to just give up games, especially at this point in the playoffs. In the conference finals, you never just want to give up a game. And it was a chance, like you said, to kind of to really end it. Break their spirits and put them down 3-0 and really not give them a whole lot of life. Maybe there was some things that the Knicks found in this game. I think it was a bit more of, and also, which brings me to the last point I wanted to make here is, and again, something we've talked about in previous shows that we've done is the Pacers have not put together a great game in this series. And they're up 2-1. So that's also something as a Pacer fan you can look at and say, look, we can still play a lot better against this Knicks team. And I think it will come. Game 1 obviously got down big, had a brilliant comeback to win that game. Not a complete, full, great game. Game 2, back and forth. Halliburton really wasn't there. So again, not a full, complete, great game. And then obviously this game. So I think there's still a lot of meat on the bone for this Pacers team. And I expect them to find it and find their groove. You win the next game, and there's a much better attitude for fans and a much better feeling about this series for sure. But you have to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it's kind of we talked about this last night, but where coaches there's a lot of coaches that maybe don't believe in momentum and don't believe in that every game is a different chapter. But I firmly believe in momentum, and I firmly believe that you just gave the Knicks belief, and you just gave them momentum, and you just gave them this positive mindset to take with them of, okay, 1, we're 6-1 on the road in the postseason, so we've proven that we can go on the road and win. 2, we can beat these guys. We just got to win this one, and we take home court advantage back, and everything's fine. People forget the first 2 games like they never happened, and now you're threatening going to 7. And threatening losing the series on top of that. I think tonight, hopefully tonight can be forgotten if the Pacers go out and they win game 4 and, maybe close it out in game 5 or even 6. But there's very much a chance that this game tonight and this 20-point lead that was completely and utterly blown is looked back on in history as the turning point in the series. I mean, just I know I'm talking here emotionally and not really. Is my mic still sounding a little
It
weird
is a
here?
little bit, yeah. I don't know if it's like close to something or if it's just, I don't know.
Try to fix this here. Let me know how this is sounding here.
Talk.
Is
Sorry.
this any better? I mean,
I think it's a little better.
trying my best here. If it gets bad again, just let
It's
me
still a
know,
little
but,
bit there, but I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe you just need.
I mean, you could understand everything you're saying. It just sounds a little weird.
Yeah. I'm speaking emotional here as a fan, but just as a viewer, I don't know. I think that this series potentially could have just flipped completely on its side. I don't know if you're going to get that kind of game from Brunson again, where he plays that poorly. Cat for the first 3 quarters of this game was a complete non-factor. Mikal Bridges didn't play well. I thought Mitchell Robinson was kind of held at bay in the rebounding category, which is the reason he plays anyways, the reason he is now he's starting tonight. And I felt like a lot of things were going the Pacers' way, and they didn't capitalize on them at the end of the day. And that's gonna be big. And now you got to sit on your hands here and wait. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Pacers got to turn this around, and they got to right the ship very quickly, because you don't want this to go 2-2 going back to New York. That's the last thing you want here, because that just resets the series, and then you got to go and win a game on the road, and it's just not what you want to do. But I don't know. I'm curious what you think here about the Pacers and kind of. I mean, they got to do something here to flip this.
I mean, honestly, I'm still fairly confident in them. As someone on the outside looking at this series, I felt like there was one big move left for the Knicks to make, and again, it's something that we talked about was playing Mitchell and Cat together. They obviously started both tonight, and I thought the Pacers did a good job of handling that. It wasn't anything that was like super a huge problem for them or like causing a lot of chaos on the floor for them. Also, I feel like the Pacers have found an answer to Mitchell Robinson, whether he's out there with Cat or by himself and Tony Bradley, and just he does a better job at least of keeping him at bay off the boards. So I feel like everything, and the Knicks went a little bit different with their bench rotation. Maybe you could argue, that had a little bit to do with it, maybe bit better defense from the Knicks in those minutes, but I don't feel there's enough things for the Knicks to continue to throw at the Pacers, and the Pacers are going to play better. I fully believe that. The Pacers have answers. They have answers for what the Knicks are going to do, and I think they will continue to have answers. So I'm not necessarily – now, look, you don't want this to turn into a series where you look back at missed opportunities. You don't want that to happen. Tonight was a missed opportunity. That can't continue. You have to rebound. You have to play well in Game 4. Because if this does get 2-2, going back to New York, then this becomes a very different series. Things change drastically for sure. I still have a lot of confidence in the Pacers, though, especially coming up if they win this game. But yeah, Game 4 becomes very, very important now for sure.
Well, I think another thing that maybe you could talk about here with the Pacers is going into this series, and even throughout the series we've questioned the Knicks' kind of depth and the amount of energy that they have. And I thought that they got good minutes tonight from Delon Wright and Landry Shamet. Deuce McBride hit a big 3 there. So they got some solid minutes from their bench. The Pacers bench completely outplayed theirs. Don't get me wrong. But I guess the question is how much did this game really take out of the Knicks? They come out with the win, of course, but how much did this really take out of them? You got into foul trouble with Brunson and Towns. You had to play a lot of minutes tonight from your bench, who already struggles. They had to run some lineups that they have not run all season long. So, I mean, that's a positive point there, I guess. If you're a Pacers fan and you're trying to find something from this, is I guarantee you that this took a lot more out of the Knicks than it did out of the Pacers. Um, and I think that as an NBA team, if you can't sit there and say, okay, completely blew that, we got to come out just with our hair on fire in game 4 and come out and absolutely dominate at home in front of your own fans with a chance to go up 3-1, then I think you're playing the wrong sport anyways. So I think that this win probably took a lot out of the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, and I feel like that's I don't know, maybe it was a bit tactical in going to these other guys off the bench, but it felt more like trying to kind of conserve bodies. Obviously they were going to have to play pretty hard. Not saying they haven't been playing hard, but there's a difference in how you're going to play down 0-2 versus an 0-0 series or a tied series. They were going to have to give 110% effort the entire game, and especially getting down 20. Once it got to that point, it was do or die time. So I don't know how. I mean, maybe, but they may have stumbled onto something here for sure. But initially, I don't know how tactical the DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet minutes were. I guarantee they go back to it and give those guys some more minutes throughout the series. But I don't think it's anything that the Pacers won't be able to handle. I think it'll come down to just them making more shots, and I trust the Pacers in doing that.
I feel like I would be kind of a casual to not bring it up here, but this game really also flipped when Aaron Nesmith went out with his injury. Pacers were up 15. I think it was 73-58, something or another. But it was a 15-point lead for the Pacers whenever Aaron Nesmith went out, who played phenomenal defense on Jalen Brunson all night long. That should not go unnoticed. He didn't have a great game offensively, but defensively, he was absolutely the stopper of Jalen Brunson tonight. This is the worst game Brunson's played in this series, probably all playoff long as well. And I'd go back and kind of look at each game. But, the game also really flipped when he went out with an injury. So he really showed how important he's going to be moving forward in this series. Obviously he came back in, but it was kind of just too little too late at that point. And again, just no one stepped up. And that's really what it came down to for me. So Pacers still up 2-1 in this one, but, had a chance to be up 3-0 with close out the game at home. Or close out the series at home, and now, that game becomes a must-win. So series definitely changed tonight. Moving ahead here to the Thunder Timberwolves. Kind of a similar scenario there. Thunder up 2-1, but absolutely blown out in game 3 by the Timberwolves. It's going to be the same kind of environment for Oklahoma City here in this one. And I think it'll be even a better environment now.
Yeah.
With picking up the big win. Now there's going to be a little bit of hope, a little bit of energy, a little bit of life in the Minnesota locker room and in that fan base. Does that at all, worry you?
I'm definitely more worried than I was heading into game 3 for sure. I mean, we've known how good this Timberwolves team has been. I think there's some things that the Thunder can do lineup wise. I know a lot of fans are wanting them to just run a lot more only Chet and only Hartenstein lineups, and there are numbers that back that up. They're better offensively whenever they run those lineups, and maybe that's something they explore a bit more, and maybe even start with a different lineup, kind of the same way we saw the Knicks do tonight. I think that's something they can do. They just got to come out and play better, period. It's hard to see what went wrong in that. I mean, everything went wrong, but just the way they came out and how flat they were, which is pretty disappointing in a big game like that. Again, conference finals, you don't want to give away any games, and you can't come out and play that way, up 2-0 or not. Like you can't just give teams games in an important series like this. So first thing I'm looking for is them to just play better. And that's, I know that's obvious, but like in terms of more energy, more physical, be the aggressors. You know, the Timberwolves were the aggressors for the first time in this series in that game, and that was a huge difference. And that could happen in game 4. I would expect them to come out and be the aggressors again. The Thunder have to respond, though. They didn't do that at all at any point in that game 3. They have to respond, match it, be better than it, at least, and give yourselves a chance.
Yeah, that was going to be my number one point. Was Minnesota was the more physical team. They were the aggressor in game 3. It rattled Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It rattled Jalen Williams. It rattled Chet Holmgren. It really rattled the Oklahoma City Thunder overall, in a way that maybe we haven't seen the Thunder rattled all season long. It's certainly not in these playoffs. So the Timberwolves have now found their game plan that they're going to use forward. You have to assume, especially here in game 4. I would expect Gobert to, like he did in game 3, he's going to come out and he's going to play on the perimeter. He's going to be aggressive. They're going to send all bodies out there. And, you know, it's going to come down to Oklahoma City to show that they can handle it. And the difference between the Pacers and the Thunder series right now is the Pacers are going to have to respond in game 4, just like the Thunder are, but they get the chance to do it on their home court.
Yep.
The Thunder are going to have to do this on the road in a really tough environment where the Timberwolves have played really well all postseason long. Where does it start? I know that, like, we were kind of talking about them being the aggressors and all this, but specifically, you know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you would assume he's not going to play back-to-back games like this where it's poor. Who from the supporting cast specifically are you going to need to see be there for Shai?
I mean, it always defaults to Jalen Williams, J-Dub, and kind of Chet Holmgren, kind of 1A, 1B, because they're the number 2 or number 3 options. Sometimes it just depends on who's on the floor. But, you know, I've felt in games where Jalen Williams has played bad, I've felt a lot of indecisiveness from him, of where he has an open 3, but he doesn't. It feels like he's thinking about whether he should shoot that or go to the rim instead of just doing it. Like whatever, just reacting to what's happening. It feels like he's been very indecisive whenever he's played poorly. Whenever he's played well, he's been decisive. He's getting to the rack if that's what he wants to do, and not even thinking about it when he's shooting it. So I think that needs to be the focal point for kind of the other guys in playing better, is to just be decisive. Just do. Don't think, just do. But I think that indecisiveness comes from how poorly they've shot in this postseason. It's kind of something, I mean, they've shot poorly through stretches in the regular season, but obviously much different games. It hasn't been something that they've necessarily dealt with a whole lot because they shot well in the regular season. But last series and this series, it's been a huge crutch, the 3-point shooting for them. And I think that's where a lot of the indecisiveness comes from, because they don't want to keep shooting them, but obviously these defenses see how they're shooting it, and that's the only thing they're giving them. So I would like to see, first of all, them not getting in a shooting contest, because Minnesota is going to shoot well again. They're at home. Role players shoot better at home. It's just kind of the consensus thing that everybody believes, and usually the numbers back that up as well. Don't get in a shooting contest. Do your best to get to the paint and get to the rim. If things open up from the outside, then fine. You know, you're going to have to take some threes. You're going to have to make some threes for sure. But don't take as many as you did in game 3. Don't settle as much as you did. Be aggressive, get to the rim. That's the number one thing I want to see from the offensive side.
I think for me, it's about the Thunder bench, especially if the Timberwolves are going to, I mean, Timberwolves had a great game from Naz Reid. They had a great game from DiVincenzo, great game from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And then you're adding Terrence Shannon Jr. to the mix, where he played reliable minutes. He played 13 minutes and he scored 15 points. You know, I don't know if you're going to get that kind of game out of him again, but if he is showing that he's going to give you reliable minutes, and he's going to give you good minutes off the bench. That puts even more pressure on guys like Casey Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso to come off the bench and play good basketball at the end of the day. And this Thunder team is deep. I'm not questioning the depth. I think that obviously the bench didn't play maybe as well as you wanted them to in Game 3, but I don't think that that's a lasting question. I think it was just a kind of a blip on the radar for this Thunder team, much like everything else that you're going to see on the stat sheet from Game 3. I think it was a blip. I think they're going to come out in Game 4. I don't know how I feel about them winning, but I could not imagine them getting absolutely blown out of the water like they did in Game 3.
I mean, look, you have a chance to go up 3-1. You want to win that game. You know, like I agree with you. I think it's going to be a tough game for them to win still. But, you know, you get blown out again like that. Granted, Minnesota, they were semi-blowouts, I would say, in the first 2 games. And that didn't deter them, so I wouldn't say, you know, it's over. But another blowout like that's a tough thing, 2 blowouts like that. But yeah, I don't think that happens. But winning the game for the Thunder is going to be a tough game to win for sure.
And it's so tough to predict them to win that after seeing how things went in Game 3. But just because I said Thunder in 5, and I'm going to stick to that, I'll stick with the Thunder win here in Game 4, bounce back, kind of, you know, settle everyone down a little bit, because I think people are maybe thinking that this is a series now. And while it is right now as it stands, I think the Thunder really have a chance to put those talks to bed. And you don't even have to come out and win by 20.
Yeah.
You just need to come out and find a way to win. Go back to Oklahoma City up 3-1, put the series away, go to the NBA Finals. Now, that is much easier said than done, but I definitely think it's in the cards right now for them to pick up a big win here in Game 4, and I think they will do that.
I'll go ahead and make my pick. I think the Timberwolves win this game. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I hope it's not a blowout anyway. I think the Thunder will do a better job getting into the paint, and that'll keep it close. But I think the Timberwolves shooting will carry them again. I think they have another good shooting night tomorrow night. And that'll kind of push them over the edge. I mean, I think it is a series. Yeah, I know a lot of people, and I know how the games looked, and a lot of people were kind of, you know, crowning the Thunder as the Western Conference champs already after those 2 games. But Minnesota was a team I was very worried about in these playoffs for the Thunder and how well they match up defensively. And I think they really showed that at the beginning of Game 1. And then they really showed it last game of how well they can do defensively. It's a code that the Thunder have to crack. I'm not saying they can't crack it, and I hope they do. But, you know, if they're able to kind of stifle Shea like that again, and really everybody else, but it starts with Shea with the Thunder team, I think, you know, things start to get tight for them a little bit. Things start to get tight for the fans a little bit. And it's definitely a series. It is definitely a series even before this next game, but Timberwolves are very good, and I truly believe that.
You know, 48 hours ago, you would have looked at these 2 series, and you would have said that maybe the NBA Finals matchups had been set, and now it's kind of weird how we're looking at them now, where both 2-1. A lot of question marks heading into these Game 4s. Obviously, the Timberwolves have a chance to win it. Knicks definitely proved that they have a chance to win a Game 4. So these series are far from over. There's still a lot to talk about with these series, unfortunately. It'd be a lot easier for me to sleep tonight up 3-0 than 2-1.
That's always the worst, trying to go to bed after a playoff loss. You can't get on Twitter. You can't.
Oh, no, that's not happening.
You can't. Yeah, you can't. I still do it. I do it, and then I'm like, I can't be on this, and then 5 minutes later, I get back on it. So But yeah, it is tough to sleep after playoff loss. Imagine what these players are going through. How do they do it?
It's going to be a lot of Halliburton choking pictures on Twitter tonight.
Yeah, I would stay off Twitter. Pacer players and Pacer fans, just
That Halliburton picture is not really cool when it's getting used against you.
right,
I will say.
right. It is a bit different. Yeah.
It's not as cool. But you know what? It is what it is. Any final points here? Anything else that you've got for us?
Nothing a whole lot. I know we were a little short tonight, but we talked a lot last night, so kind of a lot of points that we've already made, and don't want to be redundant here, but yeah, we like you said, we've got some series on our hands here in the West and the East. It's as a fan, obviously you want good games, but as a fan of the team, it's you just want to win. So I hope I know there's a lot of talk about ratings and whatever, but these are some good teams in these finals, and it's good basketball. Whoever makes it out, it's going to be good basketball. So
see, yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a shorter pod tonight, but I mean, I was just gonna keep being emotional about the Pacers and
sure, but we went over a lot last night too. So
right. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. It's been nice seeing some consistent viewers in here.
yeah, shout out Naders. I gotta shout out Jose because he's mad I didn't do it last night and he was watching. So
well, shoot, dude, he's got a comment.
Well, that's what I said, and he said his YouTube doesn't sign in or whatever or something like that. So I said, all right, I got you in the next one.
Shout out Jose for tuning in. Hopefully he was here tonight as well. Thank everyone for watching. Live stream tomorrow will probably be, if we are live, a pre-show. So I'll come to that, turn notifications on. Thank you guys.